Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. This is the weekend edition where we interview notable people from the world of real estate investing. Today's no exception. We've got a great guest, but first, a quick thank you to our sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by the Secrets of Successful Syndication. If you've exhausted your own funds to invest in real estate, you've just brought your own investment career to a halt. Developing the skill to raise capital legally, reliably, and professionally might be just what you need to unlock the ceiling to your investment portfolio. This 2-day workshop maps out how to transform your business into one where you enlist the help and capital of others to scale your portfolio. It's hosted by my good friends Robert Helms and Russell Gray of the Real Estate Guys radio show. They're such a class act. February 15th and 16th in Dallas, Texas. It'll be a chance for us to meet in person as well. For more information, go to victorjm.com/events. That's victorjm.com/events. And click on the link for the Secrets of Successful Syndication. On the weekend edition, we have a great guest all the way from Coral Gables, Florida. Welcome, Leslie Smith.
Thank you for having me.
Leslie, you got your start in the world of commercial lending, just lending for assets like real estate. How did you get into that area of specialty? Give us the backstory.
I started in banking like most people, in retail banking, specifically call center. And there was an opportunity locally for a firm that was growing and wanted to get into the small balance commercial space, $250,000 to $2 million. So, I thought that was, their product was interesting. It was innovative, and I gave it a shot.
That's amazing. So today you run a commercial lending platform called Commercial Direct. Tell us about that.
Well, Commercial Direct is a real estate online platform. We do small balance commercial loans, and they are secured by real estate. And what's interesting about Commercial Direct is that, for the most part, a lot of those fintech companies, they do unsecured. So they do loans that are, personal loans in nature, with no real collateral. We are looking for borrowers that want to invest in commercial or want to buy the property that they've been operating their small business in.
So is there a particular asset class that you specialize in? Are you looking at, for example, single family homes, or are you looking really more at commercial, like true commercial type lending?
We're looking for true commercial. We do the single family, but more that's only for an investor. So an investor that's buying a couple of homes to rent out. But most of what we do and what we're looking for is that, small office or that small retail space that has, a nail salon and a barbershop and a pet store and a yoga studio. And those are the types of retail spaces that you drive up and down your street all the time. Well, those are the type of commercial properties that we're looking for.
Today when I go around talking to various lenders, my perception is that there's an awful lot of money on the street chasing a shortage of deals, chasing a shortage of opportunities. And it almost feels like a feeding frenzy where the lenders are circling like vultures on a very small number of opportunities. What's your perspective?
There is, and I would agree with that. But I think that they're searching for that, but they're still, not being open to the opportunity of that small business owner and really how that person manages their business. And what I mean by that is that they're looking at them to traditionally underwrite them through tax returns and, a very sophisticated, business documentation, operating statements. And, what we find is that there are some really good operators and small business owners that don't necessarily have the greatest story traditionally, but we are able to assess in very creative ways that they can actually repay and that they are running a good business.
So this is really, if I understand correctly, geared more towards pure asset-based lending as opposed to necessarily, 3 years of business credit history, 3 years of tax returns, all of that sort of documentation.
We do both. If you have, you have your ducks in a row and you can show 3 years of tax returns, we'll do that. And that deal looks a little bit differently. And those folks come to us because we give cash out. A lot of, traditional lenders don't like to give cash out to small business owners against commercial real estate. We do have a lighter doc version, and it's not necessarily asset-based, but what we do is we look at bank statements. We look at a history of bank statements and determine, what is your cash flow really? Sometimes that doesn't reflect in your tax return, but you can learn a lot about how someone runs their business and also what their cash flow is on a monthly basis by analyzing their bank statements.
That's a very good point because, at the end of the day, when lenders, it doesn't matter what the structure is, when lenders are lending money, they're really only asking one question. The question is, if I lend you money, how am I getting it back? Yep. And often what tells the story is the cash flow. That's far more important than necessarily the tax return that gives a little bit of a distorted picture with depreciation, expense, and various other things that are not real cash transactions.
And for us, that's a kind of a snapshot in time. With decisions that were made for, whatever that tax return needed to look like. But a bank statement, that really tells me what happens fluidly within a 12-month period. And, whether at the end of that 12 months, do we have enough cash to pay, that loan? And for the most part, we found a lot of success there. And again, we have folks that have been operating their businesses for years and years through a recession. And maybe their tax returns don't look very clean and don't reflect their business, but somehow they've been able to continue that business, and that's where their livelihood is. And I think, I'm going to take a chance on those folks.
I love that. Is there a particular asset class that you gravitate towards? Do you specialize, say, medical office buildings or strip malls, or is there anything that you specialize in or things that you don't do?
Well, we specialize, actually, what's interesting, we do a lot of restaurant and bars. We do daycares. We love mobile homes. We do a lot of retail small. We don't do large big box retail. What really makes sense are those small strip malls that you drive by that have, a little bit of everything. And those tend to be long-term tenants and really good investments. We see a lot of doctor's offices where the doctor has been there 20 years and never really thought about purchasing the office that they've been operating in. So those to us are really interesting stories, and the stories somehow can be verified. Maybe not traditionally, but they can be verified. And so for us, the story is really important because it really tells us the character of the person on the other side. And again, it goes back to the question, are they going to repay?
One of the things I've seen in my experience is that lenders tend to be geographic in nature. Sometimes they have a particular radius because at the end of the day, you've got to perform due diligence on three things. You got to perform due diligence on the asset, due diligence on the team or the individual that's the borrower, and due diligence on the market. And it's really difficult to develop sufficient depth on all three of those from a remote location. How do you do that?
So we are a national lender. There are probably a handful of states that we don't do business, mostly because they're really rural, and we haven't necessarily found a product market fit for that particular market. But the way we've done that is from doing due diligence remotely. There's a lot of data out there in this world, and it makes it a lot easier now than 10 years ago to really figure out what's going on in that particular city, town, and with that business. From a real estate perspective, we do have a traditional appraisal that does go out physically to the property and appraises the real estate, and we have a very strong network of appraisers that do that for us.
So you're not necessarily looking for a third-party market study to see what else is going on in the market in terms of supply, but just an appraisal on the individual asset?
Yeah, I mean, more globally, we go into every year looking at, where is there population growth? Where is population moving away? Where is Amazon going, and where they're opening their new headquarters? But traditionally, aside of that helps us know where we want more business from, or where it would be interesting to business. But to physically understand that particular piece of real estate, we do require an appraisal.
Of course, that makes perfect sense. If a borrower is looking to engage you, what's typically the best way to do that?
I mean, as consumers, people like to they like some autonomy, and they like to, figure out things on their own. And Google is, seems to be the first stop for everyone. So for us, come to our website, commercialdirect.com. There's a couple of different ways that you could engage with us. You can chat with us. You can email us. You can do your own application and structure your own loan without any help if you'd like no help. If you'd like help structuring a loan or want to talk through a scenario, you can also call us. So we just believe that everyone has a different way they'd like to, engage with you. And, we have several ways that a borrower can do that.
I love that. That creates a platform that really suits the needs to the borrower. So that's ideal.
Most definitely. I think in today's world, people are looking for transparency. They're looking for flexibility. And we're trying to do that, and allow folks to decide for themselves, when they want to raise their hand and how they want to consume information.
If a business is looking to borrow money, let's say just for their corporation, that's not necessarily secured by a piece of real estate, is that something you offer as well?
No, our business, our slice of the pie is strictly commercial real estate. We're a direct lender, so we, at the end of the day, actually fund the loan. We don't necessarily push you to another lender. So if it's non-real estate related, we won't be able to do that loan for you.
And what's your source of capital if folks are looking to invest? Is that an option as well?
Meaning, how we are funded as a lender?
Correct, yes.
So we are privately owned by a fund. So we are, we are a direct lender. We do not rely on other banks to actually fund our loan. But our parent company is Bayview Asset Management, and they directly fund us.
That's great. So, one of the biggest concerns that an awful lot of borrowers have is when they're dealing with a lender, in particular online, is that lender going to perform? They've written a contract, they've committed, they've got earnest money that's maybe gone hard. And, the entire industry doesn't always have the best track record of performing on loans. And so that can be a real risk. How do you get borrowers comfortable with that?
Well, I think, people, in general, looking to trust is a huge part of customer engagement. And I think for us, what we do is we put out blogs and testimonials about borrower experience. And we've been around for a long time. My company's been around for, over 20 years. So we're not new kids to the block. We've been in lending before the recession. So we show a couple different ways. We show you that, we're not new to the game. One. Number two, we have a strong track record. And then frankly, we just, show you through video, through written testimonials, folks that have been on our platform and what their experience has been. I think that's important for people to see, okay, I see that person in myself. I'm also a small business owner. They had a good experience. I'll give these folks a chance. But it is definitely, trust is a big one that we try to earn from our borrowers, especially on an online platform.
The lending world specializes in all kinds of different products, whether we're talking about bridge loans, fully amortized loans, mini perms, all kinds of different products. Is there one particular area that you would say is the sweet spot for you?
Our typical borrower is, it's a $500,000 loan. A lot of times it's a cash out to either reinvest in their own businesses. It's typically a 5-year fixed loan, so 5 years, and then for a 30-year AM, which is unique in commercial. So that's kind of our sweet spot. Middle of the road, 500,000, 5-year term, 30-year AM. That's what people are looking for, especially with increasing interest rates. People are looking for, longer term to make sure that they can stay in that loan longer and it does not balloon.
I love that. I think that definitely fulfills a particular need in the marketplace. Most of the major commercial lenders have a much larger minimum. Some of the ones that I talk to have a $5 million minimum. Some have a $12 million minimum. And the commercial banks tend to be fairly slow in terms of underwriting. So you're definitely filling a need, a gap in the market that I think exists.
We think so. And I think separately, I would say that, I think people believe that just because they get denied at a bank, that there aren't other opportunities. And I think people should really, do their homework and say, I'm running a good business. I can show some documentation, and there are opportunities for them. So I would say don't get discouraged. And continue to pursue, that loan. There may be other avenues, just like Commercial Direct.
So if folks want to get in touch, tell us again how to get in touch with you.
Go to commercialdirect.com. And like I mentioned earlier, there's different ways that you would like to communicate with us. You can chat with us, call us, email us, or go right ahead and start to build, your loan and submit your application through our website.
I love it. So for the listeners at home, definitely reach out to Leslie and her entire team at commercialdirect.com. Fill out the paperwork. They do have an awesome reputation in the marketplace. In the meantime, have a great rest of your weekend. Go make some great things happen, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.